All right, here's kind of a video showing just kind of some things I'm working on, things I've developed, and things that I plan on doing in the future. Um, some of these are kind of a little bit more developed than others, so we'll kind of hit them kind of in order. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and start with what's kind of been done. So those that have kind of been following along, um, my build and some of my older videos over the last few years know that, and then obviously if you have a ZR2, you know about the thrust block issues. So those that don't know, I should have grabbed the diff. I have an extra diff, but this is a thrust block. It is inside the rear only ZR2 locker. Basically what this is it's a retains the pin that keeps your axles from coming out, and it also the pin is what the spider gears ride on. So the smaller hole is where the diff pin goes. This hole here is how the diff pin is retained. So there's a screw that goes in there with a pin that goes through to this hole, goes through the pin and keeps it in place. These bigger holes are where your axles sit, and basically they hit that pin before they go far enough. Yeah, this thing will push up against the other, the spider gears are typically your top and bottom. Then you have two gears on each side to kind of have four gears, and this will start bouncing kind of off of that side gear, and as you can see, it will start wearing it away. And as you can see, this thing was supposed to be square, and it's worn pretty good. This was my factory one. It's got about 30,000 miles on it, and you can see it's worn away pretty good. It's definitely not square anymore. But I decided that I should probably replace this, and of course, they do not sell it as an individual part. You have to buy the entire locker assembly, which could range anywhere from about $500 up to $1,500 to $2,000, depending on supply. And then that's if it actually is in stock. I ordered an extra one. It took about 8 months to get. So if this ends up wearing enough that it'll actually break, or it can wear enough that it will spin, and then when this hits the gear, it'll break that bolt, and then you're basically going to foobar your rear end. Once it spins enough that it takes out that bolt, the pin can drop, and it'll basically just wipe away your housing. And if you've seen anyone post, housings are not readily available. So you're pretty much going to not have a rear end anymore. But during some development, I went ahead and got a bronze one made. So those that don't know, this is made out of bronze. I believe it's C932, which is often referred to as bearing bronze. Items like shift forks and transmissions and stuff like that are typically made out of this type of bronze because it is a harder metal, but it's also what they call like a sacrificial metal, to where you would rather a shift fork fail or wear away over a hardened steel gear or something like that, or a pawl that like a shift fork would ride on. It's pretty common in motorcycles. I have a motorcycle. I've rebuilt another one that I had, rebuilt the transmission, and that was all bronze forks that had worn away, but it didn't damage any of the other components, just the shift forks. And I think they were $20. Whereas if it wore away the gears and the paws, it would have been substantially more. So the first iteration is I had this made out of bearing bronze, and I ran this for about 10,000 miles. You can see you're still going to get some wear, but it's nowhere near, I ran this half the time or a third of the time as this one was ran. And as you can see, it's still at least a square. The issue with this is about 9 ounces more than this. And where that became a problem is as you could see there's more mass on this side. So when I made this one, obviously I wanted to replicate the dimensions, but that mass, I started getting a little bit of a vibration that could be felt in the floor of the truck. And it wasn't super bad, but it was enough that it started to bother me to where I ended up kind of scrapping the bronze idea and ended up going with a better grade aluminum. So this original one is cast aluminum. It looks like it's just cast molded. This here is a 7075, which has better wear characteristics than cast aluminum. I'm not sure what the actual aluminum they use to cast this, if it's 6061 or what, but I went ahead and just had 7075 made. The weight is pretty much exactly the same. I think it's like a half an ounce at the most more for this one, just because it's a little bit more dense. But if anything, it's at least a replaceable part rather than the whole diff. Those that don't know, I worked with Colorado Canyon Enthusiast, and they are selling these. We did some bulk ordering. I believe I've got 30 of them going to him as of this video, and these are $100. So a whole lot cheaper than a $500 to $1,500 diff, and obviously it's accessible, so you don't have to wait to basically replace this worn component. For some reason, these don't always wear, so if you have changed your diff fluid and it looks like anti-seize, this is likely what your thrust block looks like. If your fluid does not look like anti-seize, you're likely not wearing. I don't know why some wear and some don't. I haven't seen one that doesn't wear and inspected and looked at it well enough to determine why. So I'm just going off of what I've seen. So if you want to pick one of these up, if you have anti-seize issues or anti-seize looking fluid, that's where you can get it. All right, the next thing I'm kind of working on, and this is still in very early prototyping phase, is I'm working on the front diff a little. So let me see where I did with my... All right, so this is the front diff. I have an extra front diff. This is your shift fork that goes from 2-wheel to 4-wheel drive. It does when you hit 4-wheel drive, this moves over so that basically these two will spin as one. And when you're in 2-wheel drive, this will spin, but the other one won't. Anyways, between these two, we'll call them stub axles. So this axle here is the long stub axle that goes into the differential. This one here basically has a little spot that sticks out here that rides on this very small stub axle, which is only about this long. And that stub axle rides on a plastic bushing, which is this one. This is actually the factory one. And let me see if I can get a good shot here. We'll turn the light on. And as you can see, that was my factory one. I'm not sure how, but it looks like it moved enough that it started cutting a groove into the inside of this, and it is pretty deep. In my truck now, I have a whole new housing, and all of this is new. This is all my old stuff. But something I'm working on, and what I have in here right now is I've 3D printed a version of this, which here's another one, the first kind of iteration of it. But basically, I'm doing this for dimensions to make sure I've got the dimensions perfect. Basically measured this with a caliper and replicated it and then 3D printed just to kind of get the dimensions correct. This one here was a little bit too small because I want it to be press fit into this bearing, which is similar to how this was installed, or press fit into this stub axle, sorry. And then it's loose for this side where it rides. So this right here, if you can kind of see in there, that is my 3D printed one. And as you can see, it's spinning with this. And yeah, so we've got that testing as far as clearance. And then now I'm going to start pricing getting this made out of the bearing bronze. That way it will be a stronger and a less wearable part. So still working on that. Another thing is this thing, when you have this on here, if you ever kind of move your CV, there is a lot of play right here, which I think is what was causing that stub axle, the long one, to wear into the original bushing. And most of that is because there is a spacer that goes right here behind this piece of metal. This is like a metal shim. There's teeth on this that actually match the gear of this. And then you have your retainer clip, which is this outer part. Let me find, I don't know. Okay, I had to find, okay, this is the factory kind of bushing that rides behind that metal shim. So this would ride, and it has little kind of channels, probably to allow some gear oil to get down in there. But this sits there, and that's pretty much the play of this going back and forth. And as you can see, there's not much play in it at the moment. There's very, very little. But I've been playing with a couple of these that I've 3D printed in different sizes. So here was kind of the first version that was a little bit too tight. As you can see, it's pretty thick. This one here is a little bit thinner, and it's definitely a lot tighter. So I'm still kind of working on that, but the plan is once I kind of figure out the final dimensions of that, I'll add these little slots in my file to match this to allow the oil down in there. And then I'll probably get these, I'm probably just going to 3D print these out of really good bushing filament. And we'll get them installed in the truck to see how that works out. But that's kind of the current project that I'm working on. But yeah, that's kind of the couple things going on at the moment. Sorry I haven't made any videos in a while, but I've kind of been doing a big cleanup in the garage. Redid my tool storage. As you could remember from my other videos, I had stuff just laying everywhere, and it was mainly because I just didn't have anywhere to put anything. So upgraded boxes, went to some bigger toolboxes. I still plan on doing a video series on the V6. As you can see, I haven't touched it. It's still sitting here. It's still put together. The transmission transfer case is still attached, but probably in the next few weeks, I'm going to separate the engine, get it on the engine stand, and I'll probably start doing a breakdown series where I'll probably just record live, not really live, but record real time of just taking it apart, maybe an hour every weekend. And we'll slowly just take this thing apart and see what the inside looks like and what kind of carnage is in there. And we'll go from there. We'll see if anything's salvageable, and then, you know, I'll probably just get rid of a bunch of stuff. The trans and transfer case is still good, so I'll probably sell those parts off. But yeah, other than that, just been enjoying the truck and driving her and having fun doing some off roading. So I'll go ahead and end this here, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.